Time now for a little 3 of 31 with Elliotte Friedman. 3 of 31 brought to you by the all-new 2018 GMC Terrain. We are professional grade. Elliotte Friedman joining us. Fried, good to see you, brother. What'd you make of the Medieval Times opening last night to the hockey game?
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah?
Give me more. Like, just keep throwing it on there. I got to tell you, that is one powerful sword that can cut an airplane in half like that.
Yeah, that is impressive. It must be some sort of mighty sword.
Like a He-Man sword.
Yes. Yeah,
No, I got a text the day before from someone saying, make sure you guys televise this tomorrow night because it is something else. I love this stuff. I can't get enough of it. When it's over, I'm like, I want more. I can't. I think it's awesome.
But you're okay with the cheese. That's what you're like, because this is pure cheese, is it not?
Oh, it's pure cheese, but like I think what it is we don't like the NHL is going to turn. Like, you know, we're probably the most stoic, the most conservative league. That's going to change because the future generations, it's going to be like this. This is what they're going to want. And I think Vegas has started, like Nashville, I think, let everybody know that it was okay last year to embrace your identity of your city and bring that into and around the rink.
Right.
And this is what Vegas is. And I think every rink should be doing this, taking their identity of their city and making it like that. So I can't get enough of Vegas's cheesy openings.
Well, we also now know what Fried's favorite scene from Cable Guy was. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life.
I actually like that movie, I got to tell you.
It's one of those bad ones that I do give time for when I come across it for no good reason.
Here it is. Like, I will say this. Like, of all the movies like that, Sid, if Roadhouse ever comes on, I have to drop whatever I'm doing.
I've never
and watch
seen it. I've never seen it.
What?
I've never seen
the knee
Roadhouse.
kick, Fried. The knee kick I would practice days on end.
Oh, man, I love that movie.
For me, it's Never Been Kissed. Whenever I see Never Been Kissed,
Yeah, I don't understand.
with
I
what's her face?
understand why.
Who's Never Been Kissed? The redhead in Never Been Kissed.
Isn't that Drew Barrymore?
Thank you, Drew. Thank
Yeah,
you, Fried.
redhead.
What don't you know? Drew Barrymore.
She's a redhead?
I think so. I'm colorblind. Fried, one last question that isn't really hockey related. Has anyone in the CBC building today given you or have you been witness to a wet willy at any point?
Have not seen it today, but, you know, the night is still young. We haven't even had our broadcast meeting yet. So.
Well, it's likely to happen there during the night.
That's right.
I've heard about those meetings. All right, Fried, let's get to the ice here. I'm going to look at that third period from Winnipeg when they were relentless.
Yeah.
Can they carry that over? Because if they can't carry that over, things are going to start looking bleak.
No, I think they absolutely can. If I'm Winnipeg, you know, you're down 2-1, that stinks. But I'm not overly worried. You know, obviously your margin for victory is much more important than it was going into game number 3. But I think they're still very much in this series. You know, I thought Nick hit on a key last night after the game that some of the Jets' biggest problem is their own decision making. They put themselves into situations where they give up odd man rushes and Marchessault rams it down their throat or something like that, or that Tuck Halla James Neal line scores on them.
Yeah.
So I look at some of their mistakes as self-inflicted, but I still think the Jets are very much in this. They need, though, someone to get going to help out that Scheifele, Wheeler, Connor line.
Yeah.
And last night without Ehlers, it took Line and Stasny a long time to get going. That top line, it needs help. But I still think Winnipeg is very much in this series.
Briefly, Fried, you mentioned Ehlers. I know what time of year it is. Information is scarce.
Yeah.
Do you know anything on it?
No, I don't.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
That's
And
fair.
I suspect we're not going to know until it's all over.
Let me ask you this, because as I'm watching this unfold, I thought one of the lessons that Winnipeg has to take from the last 2 games is you can't let your foot off the gas at any time. The last 6 goals that Las Vegas has scored have come off of Winnipeg turnovers.
Yeah.
And you can play that third period all you want. When you give up that first goal early, when you sleep, when you take your foot off the gas, you get yourselves, and the teams are just too good. Is that the one lesson that we forget? Both these teams are pretty young and pretty inexperienced, but guys like Marc-Andre Fleury and James Neal, who contributed huge, have been there, done that. Can Winnipeg just take that from these 2 losses?
You know, I think they could take from those 2 losses that, you know, they haven't played their best. And if they bring their best, they're going to be okay. Now, I think you're showing some highlights from the last couple of games. To me, the thing that really did the Jets in last night was they tie the game at 1 and they give up a goal 12 seconds later.
Yeah.
They took their foot off the gas pedal.
Happened in game 2 as well when they got it 2-1.
Absolutely. You cannot do that against this team. You rest for a second and they come at you. They are relentless. I think the other thing that, that you have to be aware of is that you have to make really good decisions at the other team's blue line. We've seen mistakes they've made, whether they pinched or they tried to carry it in and it gets turned over and it goes down the other way and it's in your net. Like the first goal last night, Braden McNabb stripped Mark Scheifele. If I'm Winnipeg, I'm going to deal with that because I'm going to say that's Mark Scheifele who's got 14 goals, and if he's trying to make a play, more often than not, we're going to be all right. But when it's someone else, whether it's a Sherratt with a pinch, he's played really well, or Adam Lowry trying to make a play when he's not in a position to do it, I'm going to say to him, guys, that's not what you should be doing. And if we get beat because my best player walks into a trap, okay. But if we get beat where someone tries to do something they're not supposed to do, that's the one I'm going to say, don't be what you're not. Be what you are, and we're going to be okay in a playoff series.
Yeah, impose your will.
Yep.
The one thing, listen, every once in a while, Sid and I will get distracted. I don't know if you've noticed, but we'll spend time talking about a dry and or wet willy for 15 minutes and forget about what a class individual Marc-Andre Fleury was. Not only was he the first star of the game, he might have been the first star after the game. The Vegas Golden Knights hosted the family of the head coach of the Humboldt Broncos, and after the game, there was pictures of Marc-Andre Fleury with the kids.
Yeah.
He had the pads on them. Marc-Andre Fleury is a great goalie, but he's also a wonderful ambassador for the game, isn't he, Fried?
He is. He's a really, really nice guy. To be honest, he has not changed a lot from the guy who was drafted by Pittsburgh. Back then, when we dealt with him, he was a really easygoing, fun-loving guy. Obviously now he's older, he's married, he's got a family. He's been through some difficult times. Remember a couple of years ago when Pittsburgh was going between Stanley Cup victories, what were we calling him? Finished, overrated, whatever. And when you go through that and you come out of it, you have a choice. You can be bitter or you can say, I've got a new lease. And he's chosen option B, which I think is the way to go. I got to tell you guys have been around athletes your whole professional lives. Most of them are really good people in all sports. They're really good people. They're happy to share experiences. They're really good when it comes to people who are going through difficult times or are less fortunate than they are. But Fleury is absolutely one of the best.
Here, here. The performance has been amazing on the ice, off the ice, equal. Finally, Freeze, before we let you go, who's the next head coach of the Toronto Raptors?
I got to think it's one of the internal guys, right?
Yeah.
Nick Nurse?
It's definitely moving, so it seems, in that direction. Definitely.
Now, but here's the thing, and you guys follow it more than I do. If you're going internal, then you're making a big move, aren't you?
Yeah.
Roster-wise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because how different are these guys going to be from Dwayne Casey?
It's a great point.
I think we had a similar conversation, and the only thing that we could say at the end of it was everything has to be on the table if you're going to stay internal for Masai Ujiri.
Yeah. I agree. And I got to think they have to do that anyway. Look, Dwayne Casey was not the problem. But I didn't like it, but I can respect the fact that it might have been time.
Yep.
But if you're going internal, unless you've got somebody there who's got wildly divergent ideas from what they were doing, you're making a big change to the roster.
Elliotte Friedman, man of 1,000 opinions. Joining us here on Tim and Sid. Enjoy the game tonight, Game 4 Eastern. Oh, yeah, Game 4 Eastern Conference Final tonight. Kind of a big game, too. Enjoy it, man.
All right, say hi to Gally for me.
We will. Elliotte Friedman, Hockey Night in Canada.